Taking this big deep breath, giving thanks for waking up, for this whole new day that awaits us, for the creation fire that burns within inside of our bellies. Giving thanks to being here in the center of our very own medicine wheel, and for this container that holds us ever present, for the 7 directions and the 3 pathways to the heart, of the heart, and the pathway between east and west, west and east, the pathway of our daily walk, daily service, higher octaves of love, being, service, rising sun, rising moon, setting moon, rising Venus, or the evening star and the morning star, the planets of our solar system, the zodiac, this bicycle wheel kind of, this small span of bicycle wheel that spins around us, that tells the stories. Giving thanks to the pathway between south and north, north and south, pathway of our collective walk and also our long-term story, the place from which we come from towards the place where we are going. South, the place of the inner child, north, the place of the elder, south, the place of all inherited stories, and north, the place of future calling, the place we've never been before, the place of the great mystery. South is kept by black swan. Australia is native. Black swans are native to Australia, and white swans are native to Europe. Even South America has black swans. Not white swans, black swans. And all the white swans from the north. It's amazing how beautiful this life is, and it's artistry, God's artistry, the goddess's artistry, the creator's artistry, the great mysteries artistry from which we are a part of. Giving thanks for the direction between above and below, below and above, the pathway of our human tree, where we learn how to stand tall in our very own spine, grow our roots deep into the earth, into the hollow or around the hollow of our safe space, the bones, the stones, the dust, the blood, the ancestors of our flesh, and up through the spine to the branches of your tree, into the star seeds, original homes, spirit family, soul family, lineages from spirits. And just taking a moment to see which stars, or honoring your star families. We can have multiples. We are from many places. Giving thanks then for bringing all of these 3 directions here into the heart, the within, and giving yourself a nice big hug or a rub over your heart space, just acknowledging, giving thanks for who you are, what you hold, what you transmute, what you sing, what you feel, what inspires you. Giving thanks for all our relations. That high mountain that is closest to you. And just taking a moment to recall the beauty, the majesty, and the name in your heart. The way This mountain watches over us, records the stories, and for those of hearts and eyes and ears to receive, to be able to listen to the stories of the past and integrate it and have compassion and awe for where we come from. Giving thanks to other stone people that we might be connecting with, the crystal beings, your favorite rock at the beach. Mm. Giving thanks to the four-leggeds, those that walk with us a lifetime, those that weave in and out of our path, pets, familiars, spirit animals, or wild animals that we may encounter or have encountered in our life that has left an imprint forever. And giving thanks to one of these four-leggeds, seeing which one comes up for you and giving thanks. Giving thanks to the creepy crawlies, those ones that bring so much dimension, vibration, and all of the beauty into life. The gathering together, the cleaning up, the working in community, the solitary warriors. And taking a moment to see if there is a little creepy crawly coming up for you. And giving thanks. Giving thanks to the winged ones, those that write songs in the sky and teaches us how to fly and watch with a flying rainbow serpent's eye. And taking a moment to see if there is a winged one coming up for you. And giving thanks. Giving the thanks to the four elements, the comfortable, warm, deep depth of the element of earth, the terrestrial womb, rising with the creative and purifying fires of the masculine right-hand path, ascending deeper into the celestial womb of the element of air, and down with the waters, cleansing and musical of the feminine left-hand path back into earth. And keeping this cauldron astir here at the womb, creation, activation. And at the center, the navel, the fifth element of ether, the rainbow dragon, the rainbow portal, all life, all death, all joy, all sorrow connects. We connect into that from the space. And giving thanks for our life, and the laughter, and the tears, and the being humanness with other humans. So giving thanks to the two-leggeds, our friends and our sisters, brothers, mothers, family, fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers, lovers, children, worthy opponents, clients, strangers, hands, eyes, hearts that we get to meet on a daily, weekly, monthly, forever basis. And taking a moment to acknowledge and give thanks to this eternal flame of love that burns within every heart, and all of the people that we meet with all their different stories, the reflections, giving thanks to this sister circle for all of us being here, weaving, sharing, reweaving, mending, all those things that we can do with a needle and a thread. Bringing together, coming together, sharing together, filling out the story together, continuing to tell the story together. It's subtle, it's gentle, and yet so powerful to have a continuous line of accountability to come back to, and to meet all of these aspects of ourselves together. Giving thanks to the storytelling realms, the mythical realms, the fairy folk and tale, the breadcrumb trail to the Holy Grail, the 13 original clan mothers and their stories, our personal myths and other stories that we might be working with. Giving thanks for storytelling. Aho and blessed be. Amen. Hello, beautiful sisters. It's lovely to have you here. Let's do some quick check-ins just to see how we are, and then we can go a little bit into a deeper sharing. So me, I'm just feeling like the blue sky, even though I don't look like it right now. I promise I feel like it. um, we've been having yesterday's weather and today's weather has been so, so beautiful. And it's, um, in Afrikaans sê hulle dit so mooi. It sounds so much better when you say it in Afrikaans than English. Om jouself te speel. Om jouself te speel in die waterval of in die blou lug. To mirror yourself in the blue sky or the waterfall or the ocean. And to bring that outer landscape inside and to let these parts meet. So I'm happy for this beautiful weather because it's really resonating with the inside of me. Odette, how are you in this moment?
That's a beautiful way of saying it. Thanks for sharing that. I am good. I'm really good. It's as well here a beautiful day, and I look forward to going out into it after this call. And yeah, missing the sun on me right now because I have a north and a west facing home space, so the sun only comes later. And I woke up at my boyfriend's house and he's got a sunrise view, but I wanted to come home for the call and make my cacao, and I came home and the gas was out. I was like, oh no, no sun, no gas, no hot drink. But yeah. I'm happy because I'm playing with thread and yeah, been really enjoying this clan mother.
Mm, beautiful. It looks like there might be a spot of sun behind you.
Coming through the bathroom window.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Thank you for being here, Odette. It's such a pleasure. River, how are you in this moment? How are you feeling? How's your heart? I can't hear
Yeah.
you. I don't know if anybody else can.
I haven't started speaking yet. I was
Oh, it
chewing my
looks like
voice.
it. It looked like he was speaking. I'd be like, what's happening? Okay, no, cool. No, then that's a good thing.
Sorry. I'm feeling very tender. Um, also content. I'm in my medicine time, so leading on Friday night, Friday night, I noticed. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm preparing to walking through like little birthing gateway. So it's my birthday tomorrow.
Yes.
So it's coming. Yeah, I'm just in my tenderness and having some breakfast.
It's beautiful to have you here. I also started Moon Time on Friday, and another sister, so it's like one of my closies. So yeah, sending love for you in this birthday portal. I'm looking forward to hearing where you're at and your sharing with Weaves the Web. Thank you for being here. Meryl, how are you in this moment?
Good morning. Just really seem to be floating. I don't seem to be very grounded. And yeah, just looking back on this month and going, actually, are we here again? Where did this month go? Sort of just passed me by, just floating along. Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure it all out. How did this month just come and go? Yeah.
It's kind of like it reminds me of the spider when it puts out its first, or when she puts out her first like thread, and she's kind of like, kind of like hanging on it and then coming to that point.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just a spider hanging on the thread, going from one side to the other side, just being a spider at the end of the thread. Yeah. I was actually trying to figure out, like, what am I going to say today? Well, pretty sure, because this month I just feel like I was here yesterday.
Yeah, well, we'll see what comes up. There's always. That's why the sharing circles are so good, because even I've seen it so many times before where we don't know what we're going to share, and then it all starts coming together. And you're like, oh, okay. So welcome, Meryl. Chelsea, how are you in this moment? You look nice and cold.
Not too cold, actually.
Okay, I'm
Rather
happy.
more cozy than cold. Luckily, yeah. It's getting warm in the sky. I'm sorry, I'm just like busy between arriving and feeding pets, and there's a sweat lodge on the land at 12, so I've just getting all messages out there before settling into this wonderful call with you all. It always seems to be so busy before our calls on Sundays. It's just the Sunday vibes of the home. And having a sweat lodge on top of that. Pretty exciting. Yeah, I am feeling energized and well, and been seeing a lot of spiders. So that's quite interesting. Of course, sort of talking to them and hoping they don't bite me in the beds. Sometimes I find them on the walls by the beds, and I have seen a spider in the bed. They get very cozy, so it's quite funny. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Sorry, if you see me looking at my phone, I'm just closing off messages.
No worries, it's all good. I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, many blessings on the sweat lodge today.
Thank you.
May it be super beautiful, and I hope to join sometime, yeah, in the future.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
I'm
adding
sure
me
you
to
will.
the group. Okay, we'll go into our deeper sharing. Odette, would you like to start for us? How has your moon been with Weaves the Web?
Okay. Yeah, it's been an amazing moon because I've really gotten back into some handcraft, which has been very dormant for me of late. And as some of you might know, it's a big part of my life, but yeah, dormant. And actually, I think the story really brought me to a remembrance of the younger me. And so the story of the clan mother rescuing the children and becoming a mother really, really touched me, and passing on her skills to these children who were so welcoming of the knowledge. And it reminded me of me like 10, 15 years ago, somehow, when my children were little, my older children, because I mean, I've got a little Willow, but I feel like it's like my girls and the person I was when I was their mother and they were littler. Really like mirrored in this story. Even though, of course, they're my children from my own body and everything, but it was just like it really made me think a lot about me and the many skills that I have developed over the years just through following my passion. And so like, yeah, really feeling grateful also. And I think I touched on it last sharing circle, a little bit sad that there is a sense in me that a lot of what I have to share with my children is not being welcomely received. So that came up last moon cycle with like, just how I live and these values that I want to pass on, but then also realizing this moon cycle that those seeds are really germinating in rich beings in my girls. And I've reflected a lot on me as a 15-year-old, for example, because my middle child's 15, and me as a almost 19-year-old, and how I really like my girls really are upgrade models of me. Like, yeah, I feel really blessed to be their mom and challenged as well. And so with all of it, the whole big package, it's been very humbling and just really beautiful. And quite a lot of stuff has come up for me this moon around processing just the different, I guess, the different timing and cycles for things. So actually today's reading, and I was just reading it again now before I started to share with this, the bees, and it's like this came up this week in the family context because we had a really deep share as a family, me and the children, all three children. It was like we really went deep and we were all crying, and yeah, it was like really quite intense, but very healing. And what came up was this chaos, and I feel like my girls really want structure and order, and they want to avoid chaos because it feels unsettling. And I come with a lot of chaos, and the chaos actually provides the reality that we have, you know, because without me having like 10 pots of things on the stove and this over there and all these crazy things that I bring into the home space happening, we wouldn't have the home space, you know. So it's like just finding that dance, and also me sharing that I've allowed them to be autonomous from very young. I've allowed them to go, no, Mom, we don't want to come to this family thing. We'd rather go hang with our friends. And I'd rather than say, no, we're doing this and coerce them and then they're not enjoy. I've rather taken that, let's take the path of least resistance and there you go. Do what you want to do. But it's then interesting to what came up was see how there's pros to that, but there's also cons to that, where now, especially my oldest daughter, I think it's coming up alive in her that soon she's leaving home, and she actually wants more togetherness now and is resentful that it wasn't there, but yet at the time it wasn't there. She needed it not to be there, you know, so it's like, it's just so interesting. So what really came up for me was sharing with them that in the chaos we find the balance, and like as much as we want to organize and have it all organized, there's always going to be chaos and it's dancing with it. And so, you know, we sweep the floor every day. It's get chaotic and messy, but then we sweep the floor. And so bringing in these practices of just really simple things. So that's been quite a lot. And then also just with my creative side, I've really enjoyed getting back into a little crochet project, which actually Amber saw me doing Amber and Chelsea were at Louvain last weekend, this beautiful festival, and I crocheted a scarf for my partner. And I hadn't crocheted a scarf in a really long time. Actually hadn't crocheted anything in a long time, but I used to do that a lot, especially in my 20s. I would always have my bag with crochet, and wherever I was, I'd be crocheting. And whatever was happening around me was going in to this creation that I was sitting making. So that's why not everyone saw, but let's see how I can do that. I am sitting with threads right now because I'm creating something for Shanti, and I really wanted to bring this circle into the threads. And yeah, how profound that is, how amazingly profound and simple it is to just weave the stories into the tangible thread. Yeah, I love that, and I've always done that, and it's been dormant, like I said. So I'm just enjoying this reawakening of the dormant trade, the dormant handcraft that I love so much. So yeah, thank you, Shanti, for the motivation. Because also I used to always trade, you know, I mean, I used to like make something and it was a tradable item. I'm going to sell this, it's a stock, but you know, and like, I wonder who is going to be the head that fits this beanie, you know, like that. And then it became more custom made things because I stopped doing markets, and I love custom made items. And then it became like, yeah, I'm actually just going to make a beautiful gift for someone that I love. And so now it's more like that. And yeah, I'm enjoying that transition through the forms. One thing that happened halfway through this moon cycle is I have misplaced my earth medicine book, and I am devastated. And yeah, I just haven't found it yet. So I'm really relying on the posts in the group. So thanks for that. but I'm yeah, missing the book. And it was so interesting because I borrowed Ember's book at Louvain, and your book has got a crease in the front page and angle, and my book's got the exact same crease. It's like, what? It's so funny. Yeah. So I was like, oh, check that. Anyway, no, damn, it's not my book, but yeah, so what else? I think that's it really. I mean, there's so many things that have come up, but that's mostly what this clan mother is bringing me to share today. Yeah.
Yeah, just taking a deep breath and just receiving a bit. Thank you for being here, for being that special thread in our weave, the color and the being that you are. And thank you to Chelsea for posting our daily readings. It's the first time that somebody's done it for me, and I love it. It's so nice. Thank you, Chelsea, for doing that for us. And yeah, many blessings and love to your creation and your home and your hands and all that you are making and doing and being for you and your family, Odette. And you'll see as time goes by and as your children grow older how those seeds are really going to germinate. Yeah, I always honor you deeply as a mother. And I understand the chaos so well. Thank you. Thank you for being a mother to all of us. Meryl, you're kind of now next again on the screen, so I'm kind of hopping between the. How has your moon been with Weaves the Web?
Yeah, how I'm just like thinking back now. What was this month? You know, I started reading Weaves the Web, and it took me a long time to actually sit down and read it. The first few pages just there was a lot of resistance. I found that, either, over the moons, over the past moons, there's been some that have just grabbed me immediately and some that I found resistance to. This was a big resistance for me because I've always struggled to embrace my creativity. And I always look at other people painting or knitting or crocheting or creating. And I've never had that encouraged. As a child, that was just forbidden. It was just not allowed. Creativity, doing any form of artwork or anything was not seen as academic. So it never was nurtured in me. And now I almost crave it, but I'm not trusting myself to go there. Even though every time I look have a look at my astro chart or my gene keys, I'm the creative is very strong. And then I got into it and started doing the daily readings, which were amazing. I found the daily readings really beautiful this month, realizing that it's not about creating an object, having that again, it comes back to that tangible evidence. If I look in the mirror, is this not my own creation? So really being with that this month has been quite something. There's been regrets and there's been the what ifs, and then also going through my own body changes, noticing my body shape changing a bit. And I also tweaked my back in the middle of the month, so that was a bit of a challenge. So it's really being in my body, and I haven't had a moon cycle, so just decided not to come this month. It was fine. It just hasn't arrived, which is what I was expecting anyway. I don't have any other symptoms of the menopause that I've been reading about, other than a bit of body change. But it's also winter and we're indulging a little bit too much, I guess. It's delicious. And I stopped drinking coffee. I'm almost 3 weeks no coffee, and it's been a struggle. Oh my gosh, a real struggle, because I realized how coffee was suppressing my appetite. So now I'm struggling with that mental sort of dance. And also, for me, coffee was very much part of my morning ritual, my morning routine. So yeah, it's been a bit of a, obviously there was the physical side of stuff. I haven't noticed anything. I'm still think I'm going through some withdrawals, even though I was only drinking 1 cup a day. Just very much a part of me. So that was a conscious thing. Yeah, so going through all of that sort of story this month, and then I love the chaos. Oh my gosh, chaos is everything to me. Drives Mark mad because he's very masculine. But I think as women, we need to be chaos. We're a bowl. We're not like a stick. Men are sticks. We are bowls. We're supposed to collect things and put things in there and mix them all up and create magic and soup, the soup. But then again, at the bottom of that soup pot that's boiling and bubbling is that sticky bits that get stuck on the sides and the bottom. And there's always that scraping to do. So yeah, so I think that comes in every month. I also struggled. I think the struggle with the story was real for me because at the end of this month, both my children will have full-time employment and totally independent in every way. So that's a thing. My son from Europe is actually here. He'll be here till the 29th. He arrived just in the beginning of the month. And he's going to visit my parents at the moment in Joburg because I'm not sure when he's going to see them again. And this is what we're looking at now. I'm in a different space. And then at the end of the month, he goes back to, of all places, Luxembourg, where he has full-time employment and he's got his own apartment and he signed his own lease and he's got his girlfriend and I don't know when I'm seeing him again. So, although the communication is very big, also we speak a different language. He's very inspired by the corporate world, and he's sparked by it, and he really accepts my path, my journey, and my different viewpoints. But the communication becomes quite interesting because I won't say he's caught up in it because he's embracing it, and I see he's got a lot of passion. But I can't relate to that. So I just sending him, I'm with him, we're sending love. We've been doing a lot of fun things. We went tin pin bowling and we even went to the Clay Cafe and we had so much fun, which is the creative side trying to come out with me and my 22-year-old son, almost 23, and we had a great morning. But so there is that definitely where I'm noticing that my language, my not just verbal language, my way of being is very different from both my children. And yet I see in them so much of myself. So it's going to be interesting to see when that, awareness of a more connected to the Earth tribe comes about, because they're not connected at all. So, and, I just have to let them do that, especially my youngest. So that's an interesting one. So that when the children coming in and passing down and all that, there was a lot of regret in me that I didn't know what I know now, but I don't know if I would have been able to give that to them because I couldn't give it to myself. So there's a lot of just self-nurturing in that. And that's possibly where I'm at the moment. Like, I keep thinking, like, what have I got to talk about? But actually, I think I'm just in this space of like from one moment to the next, almost like a surrender, almost like a hiatus. I don't even think I'm like in hibernation because I'm still moving around, but I definitely feel like I'm more floating around at the moment. And yeah, Louvain was amazing. I met some amazing people, and I realized how the city is really lowering my energy. It's depleting me, and I thought I was getting tinnitus. So I've had this constant like around here, possibly the whole month. But when I was at Louvain and we went back to Seerbrock for a few days, it was not there. So it's honestly like I'm feeling the electricity around me. It's like it's quite So, but I am sleeping much better, so that's good. But it's an interesting one to have this here and the city life, and it's yeah. So just craving more conversations around fireplaces, to be honest with you. That seems to be where I'm sparked, where I'm alive, with the music and the drums and the dancing, and yeah. And I just feel that that's what's in my soul. So weaving that web, I guess. I think that's me.
Thank you for being here and showing up for who you are. I'm just deeply honoring you and your journey and where you are at now. The moon, oh, pause. You are in a pause. And there's deep reflection from where you come from and weighing all of those aspects until you find that peace with them. I think it's just a natural process. So be soft and gentle with yourself and know that it's just a natural process that you're going through. And it's okay to think the things that you think. It will settle. It will settle into that place where you will find that peace with it. And then you begin again. And it's really beautiful how you continuously bring up the city versus where you feel you need to be. And this is your time now. This next phase of your life is like what you feel, what is being called for, and you can create that. And your life is your creation. It's so beautiful. That is what you are creating. It doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of art, but I bet you when you pick up something, you're going to love it when it comes. Love having you here and listening to you and seeing your process, honoring your process. I love all the women in my life, and like I learned so much from each of you. And this 52 year is you are going to be like for me when I turn that, I'm going to think of you, like, and you're going to be like, you like a guide for me in that way. Yeah. And the letting go of our children, like I love listening. I always say it. I love listening to the mothers in my life and where they are with their children. And I learn a lot from all the mothers in my life. And I'm really grateful for your sharing and the tenderness of where the specific phase for both you and Odette is at, of the yet again and very natural cycle, like the empty nest, the empty nest syndrome kind of thing. And it kind of reminds me, the only thing that I have to relate it to is when I stopped breastfeeding. And it was sad. It was a sad thing, and yet so natural at the same time until the integration comes. I'm feeling you and your tenderness and just giving you such a big hug, and yeah, I miss you. Thank you for being here. I wanted to also, the one thing that I wanted to say is, don't, for instance, with a clan mother, there can be a frustration sometimes that we don't meet that clan mother fully. But through this cycle, I've been with the clan mothers, I think it's 9 years this year. And it's taken me with Walkstall Women. She's the clan mother she was the one that's the most difficult for me to, especially when it comes to my body and the exercise and the taking care of that. And I remember when I was 30 years old, I'm 36 now, it was very clear and strong for me that I really need to start exercising and But it's taken me 6 years to get to this point where I'm now, where I'm actually actively doing something every day, where I'm not just sometimes doing something or this or that, where I'm really actively. And every year when I come to Walk Still Women, I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet. Oh, I'm not there yet. Oh, I'm not there yet. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. So there comes a time when it's right for us, when that part settles for us. It doesn't have to be immediate, it hardly ever is. So it settles and it settles and it settles and it settles and then it settles. And maybe then it unsettles. So it's just part chaos, right? It's like the chaos aspect of it. But being very soft and gentle and honoring what we need and knowing that it's okay to need those things. Love you. Chelsea, how has your moon been with Weaves the Web?
I just wrote in the chat in response to your feeling not ready to move on to the next clan mother. Do one clan mother per year, and then you'll have a whole 13-year cycle. That'll be quite something. Yeah, I have had an interesting moon cycle with regards to seeing where my creativity wants to be channeled. I do knit, but I didn't feel like knitting at all. And yet, but there was a piece of knitting just sitting there, and I needed to complete it for my own. I don't know, just almost like completing a commitment through the knitting piece. Yeah, so I did that, almost like I needed to complete that to move forward with my creativity somehow, energetically. And then I decided, okay, what do I really want to do instead of forcing myself to knit something when I didn't really feel like knitting. I decided to just see where my creative energy wanted to be channeled. And the one thing with that was I've been learning the ukulele. So I live in a very musical family. My partner's children and the mother of his children she's a musician, and all of their children are very musical. So they sing and play guitar and play ukulele and play drums. It's quite wonderful. So it's been inspiring to actually commit to the ukulele and watch videos and just play around with the instrument. It's really a beautiful, beautiful instrument. So that's where my creativity has been going. And then I also have been baking, but my baking hasn't come out very as well as I'd like it to. So I'm making crunchies or oat cookies, and the oat cookies come out a little bit soft. And I look at recipes, I get a bit impatient. So I look at recipes and I'm like, oh, I don't want to put milk or butter or sugar in. So I'm going to replace it with what I want to put it in, coconut cream or whatever. And sometimes it just comes out a disaster, or too moist or too dry. And then I add some more coconut cream, and then it's been quite chaotic. That's where the chaos is playing out. And I'm so impatient with recipes. Like, and also because I'm replacing ingredients and I haven't tried it before. So it's been a bit experimental. And I'm making crunchies before the sweat lodge today. So I found a recipe with 3 ingredients only, without dairy, without sugar. So I'm excited about that. I'm kind of looking at Odette and wondering if she has a recipe to share with me that for crunchies that don't involve milk or butter, and or sugar. Although sugar's okay, I don't mind sugar now and then. So that's where my creativity is being channeled. What else did I write? I was very blessed to see Odette and Ember Merrill at Louvain Burn. I had short moments with each of them. yeah, I just felt like it did feel like a woman from the same tribe who live in different areas coming together and seeing each other and just greeting and catching up a little bit and dancing together. Yeah, and the Levain Burn Festival is a very creative festival, so that was a beautiful space for creativity to flow and just to witness other people's creativity. Yeah. In terms of chaos, Odette and Ember touched on that. I kind of, Odette, when you said that you mentioned that you are chaotic, and I kind of thought of my own mother um, and different mothers that I know in my reality that I witness, and I'm like, I kind of think like you're definitely not chaotic in my mind and heart. Having pots boiling on the stove and all sorts of things cooking, to me that's sort of healthy chaos, if I had to have to give it a label, because I feel like there's different layers of chaos. There's the chaos of the mother who neglects the child because they haven't processed their own stuff, and they sort of either burying themselves in addiction or neglecting the child, or trying to, yeah, to me that's full on chaos. So yeah, just honoring the levels of chaos, and that there can still be care in chaos and busyness. And I guess the question for me is busyness chaotic or chaos? And I guess it can be for different personalities. So yeah, just touching on the theme of chaos. Yeah, like I said earlier, I've been seeing a lot of spiders, and I love the symbolism of the clan mothers. I really do note the different animals and the different nature and natural features or symbols that come up, because it reminds me of this process that we're in. Otherwise, I can easily forget some of that. So the spider, and I think the starfish is also a symbol in the Weaves the Web story. And just also acknowledging that different webs are weaved at different times. And I think it's mentioned in the story. I took notes when I listened to the story that different, let me just check the notes quickly, because the words were really simple and clear. Different webs are woven. Where are we weaving from? So the question was like, where are you weaving from? And I think that's such a vital piece to weave the web, because it's like you can weave all sorts of webs, and no web is right or wrong, but it's like sometimes you weave a web and you destroy it, or like spiders will just go weave a web for the night and then come back or go weave a web somewhere else. So I guess it's also like our lives and the different webs that we weave in this big wide web. Just acknowledging that. Yeah, I think there's still more for me to process around that, so I'm just putting that out there and sharing that. Otherwise, I'm almost complete. I feel like I need to mention my mother in the space because I mention her so often, and there are other mothers in the space, and mother-daughter is very strong and prominent here, or mother and child. Yeah, I spent one Sunday with my mom, and I just felt so drained, unfortunately. Not by her per se, but the topics of conversation that she talks about. And so I fetched her and spent the whole day at my place. And then she's very into conspiracy theories and the royal family, and I don't want to talk about any of that crap. To me, it's just crap in my like. I'm interested in the summary. I'll think about it and I'll be like, okay, that's happening, just to be aware, but to actually talk about it and have very strong opinions, she's like on this bandwagon. And I feel a little bit, I don't know if it's disappointment per se, but it's like she's the person who I learned tarot from, and esoteric wisdom and knowledge, and Astara. I don't know if anyone knows Astara. It's like ancient wisdom that doesn't get talked about a lot, or not in where I've seen Astara. And she had all these teachings and stuff. And I think that the disappointment is like she didn't get to maybe apply all of them to her life. Not in the tangible reality. Perhaps her soul has integrated and learned all of this, but in her tangible reality, I don't really see fully. I see a little bit, but not fully the application of teachings. And then so it's almost like she's flipped from that to like being really into conspiracy theories and like talking about the dark forces and on this planet. And I'm kind of like, I don't deny that there are dark energies and dark forces, but it's like, tell me about your dark forces. No, don't speak about the royal family's dark forces. Let's go into yours. Let's integrate that, or don't, or it's almost like a projection of your reality. You can't really see in your own reality, so you're projecting all of that out there. So she kept wanting to talk about it. I kept arguing with her, like saying, I don't want to talk about it, firstly, because I don't have enough information to actually debate with you or to agree with you. I don't, and she won't, like, with my mom, when I say I don't want to talk about something, she doesn't really listen to that boundary. She'll just go on and on and on. So I just got into my body eventually and just started shaking and breathing, and like, cool, you can carry on talking, but I'm just gonna move this all through my body. And she did. She kept talking, and then eventually, as I shook it through, I was like, look, you've got to talk about these things. Find friends to talk about these things with who are interested in this. I'm not. Then when I dropped her off at home, she said that she feels quite drained from talking so much. I was like, yeah, sometimes you don't have to talk so much, we can have pause breaks. And we tried to watch a movie as well, and the signal was bad, so I had to download the movie, which took like 3 hours. But by the time she wanted to leave, the movie had downloaded. So I guess just learning with my mom that, we're gonna meet for short periods of time and maybe watch a movie in between that time. And there's a piece for me around my mother is the creation of me. She created me. I am because of her. And then I'm sometimes look at her, I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, where did it all go wrong? You can blame the outside as much as you like. Yes, she had a lot of shit happen. Like, what happened? So, and yet, but she's also okay at the same time. She's in a way better place than she was. So, that's me.
Oh, thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing about your mother. And yeah, it's sad. I feel sad for you. And what a deep mirror, even just to receive the story. So thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for all that you're creating and doing and being. Thank you for being light and deep at the same time. And I hope that you enjoy your musical journeys and discovering that, the ukulele. I'm sure you have a beautiful singing voice too. And I need you to agree.
It's getting there. It's a rusty, but yeah, I enjoy chanting and singing a lot, so I'm just applying that to the ukulele. I live with beautiful singers, so I'm intimidated a bit by them.
You should be inspired.
I'm inspired and intimidated at the same time.
I hear you. Yeah, it's also about finding our own voice when it comes to singing, because we have such a unique voice to bring through. And it's when we bring through that authentic voice that doesn't sound like this person or this person. It sounds like you that comes through.
Mm.
Yeah. Many blessings on the Sweat Lodge. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the tarot. I really do enjoy the journey. It's been very interesting where the cards come up, in my journey. And yeah, I'm just very grateful to know you. And I'm sorry that I missed Louvain Byrne. I was really tempted to come, but it's not. I know that it was not for me right now. I'm still settling in. I also am house sitting at the moment for my folks. They're not here, so um, yeah. So unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But I was thinking about all of you, and I hope as the season grows, that I'll get to see more of you. Yeah. Sending lots of love. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you for the space.
It's a pleasure. I'm so grateful for this space. River, how has your moon been with Weaves the Web?
Can you hear me clearly? Okay, good. Yeah, I had an interesting moon. It's also brought up lots of things for me. Before I even read the story, I kept on having like this voice, like, go and buy some clay, like, sew something, go buy more clay, like do stuff, make something. And around about at the beginning of this grandmother, my eldest, Kanan, ended up making a decision and getting accepted to join the same school as Anna, which meant that my mornings were free and the kids were both in school in the morning, because previously it was morning, afternoon, and I actually didn't have much downtime. So for this moon, I suddenly had space, but at the same time, I got some new clients online and for body work. And so I mean, it's just not the only reason. I'd spent a lot of time like taming house chaos and not enough time tending to me and my inner garden and my creativity. But it's like I'll wake up every morning and be like, I want to do something, or make a mandala, or do some nature art or whatever. But it really wasn't happening. And so in the early part of the call, while I think Odette was talking, I suddenly had this feeling of being in the canal, like in the birth canal, and not actually getting out, like being stuck in this place. And I'm aware that this is like the story of my birth. And I find it interesting because when people, like suddenly my one child was saying earlier in the month that she's feeling really depressed and like thinking about suicide, and she wants to see a psychiatrist and she wants to get proper medication, like no more fucking around, no more homeopathy, no more scletium, no more other stuff. And I was like, oh god, okay, fine. So I'm asking like a friend and close people that I trust, like, what is the route now to see someone, because you don't just rock up at a psychiatrist, like you've got to have a referral and mission. Anyway, so I found the way, and then literally like now, a week later, I don't know why I haven't made the phone call, same as I haven't bought the fucking clay. Now my child's fine, it's all creative, and it's like on the iPad all the time, and it's drawing drawings, and it's joining some kids making a production, and it's got like 3 roles as an emerging artist in there, and it's doing voiceovers, and the kids are fine. The other one's also been super creative, both on the iPad and on paper. And in the beginning of this journey, I was doing watercolor painting with Anna, and then it just fizzled out again, and I really miss it. And I don't understand why I'm not like pushing through. So I also find this with making stuff, like practical things out of crochet. Like if I'm around my sister and my mom, like, or other people who are doing it, it flows super easily. Like they are in some way like an activator or a conductor or an inspirer or something. But when I have to do the stuff solo, I just like it doesn't have the same joy and it feels fucking difficult. Like I literally get the first thing I ever crocheted was actually around people. So I had support like to learn it. But I felt like I'd fucking run a marathon afterwards. Like I literally had sweating and heart palpitations at like the challenge of doing this thing. And so for me, doing this on my own is feels like in some ways too hard. And then I also know that whenever I try and manage to push through, which is not often, I'm always like beyond satisfied with the outcome. So it's not that I don't have that satisfaction at the end. Interesting. Yeah, but I mean, there has been some other forms of creativity, like into food and into movement and some into singing. And I bought a flippin' online course on learning to sing medicine songs, and I played the guitar when I was little or much younger. And I'm quite devastated that I can't remember how to play the way I did then. So I'm also finding it super frustrating. So I listened to the first thing, realized I needed a capo. There were 6 lessons and 6 songs. Listened to the first audio, realized I needed a capo. Took like 5 days, eventually bought a capo, and then still haven't opened the thing again. But I also feel like I have very little me time. And by the time I do have it, I'm exhausted. Like my kids are going to bed and I don't have the capacity to do something even slightly challenging. So that's been interesting. And then what is the other thing? There was something else coming up, but now it's gone away again. I'm struggling quite a lot with my memory. I haven't been able to run for like 2 weeks because I have some injuries, and it's not a good idea to continue jarring. And I did a long journey with an osteopath and some acupuncture people earlier in the year, even in Mauritius when I was there, and it hasn't resolved it. So now I found a chiropractor where he works with chronic conditions, and I've had like 2 sessions this last week, and they've actually been in some ways like life-changing, but they've also brought up a lot more in the body stuff. But after the one session, the first one actually, I went shopping to get some things for the kids. And then while I was walking in the shops, I had this moment of like literally feeling so tall and upright, like in a way that my body hasn't felt before. And I felt like a feeling that I'd felt a long time ago, but only I didn't understand why these things were so fleeting, where I was literally felt like I was like an Amazonian queen in the jungle, and like this jungle is mine and I own it. And I could walk with such joy and happiness and gratitude and pride and acceptance. This in the middle of like Woolies, I was like, what is wrong with you? But this is the feeling I had after this acupuncture session. And so part of me is reflecting on why I don't feel this power in myself more consistently. And this morning when I woke up, the first thing that came into my head was like, becomes a vision. It's like I really need this woman that no, she's the last grandmother, but it's like and a part of me, I realized I'm a bit scared of like dreaming the new vision. So I created a vision board a year ago when I was in a very dark, like pretty much suicidal place and just completely burnt out. And almost everything on it has come to be. Like I didn't even know what these little symbols and colors and emblems and things and words on it meant, but like literally everything has manifested. So I get that I have this power to manifest. And I created a new one, and I realized that I've shied away completely from putting on some of the things I most want. And it's almost as if like in my current like living setup, I'm living with my kid's father, and not wanting to like upset the status quo. Like I find it almost impossible to dream like the new dream, the new vision. Yeah, I'm just aware of like how both inspired and afraid like I have been of like watching Shanti's thing unfold, of like leaving this place and settling somewhere new. And I feel like I'm not ready to, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm ready, but I feel like the system around me is not ready for like my new dream of the next step. And previously I didn't have a partner, so I didn't have like an urge to really like be somewhere else with someone else that is super kind and supportive and understanding and like insanely welcoming of like all the parts of me. Yeah, so there's a bit of that. And a realization that like in my current setup, unless I leave from here, I find it very hard to create a place where I can be 100% safe and vulnerable and to process and to feel some of the grief, both the griefs and the joys. But somehow grief is feeling quite heavy and pertinent at the moment. Whenever I sit down to pause, but I have found somebody that I might be working with from next Friday, and she's kind of, after one phone call, she's kind of said to me, "This is what I feel. You know, like you don't really have a safe enough place to put all this down for a moment or longer without worrying about distressing the system." So I'm looking forward to that next thing that's coming. And I find it interesting that so many things are like aligning and coming into being with this gateway that I'm walking through of birthing. Yeah, and I'm also feeling very drawn to constellations as a modality for perhaps looking at some of these patterns that come from as far back as the womb and maybe even further back, finding some clarity, but also putting them into like right perspective and letting them be like seen or played out in some way very concretely. But for the most part, I kind of am vacillating between like deep contentment.
Oh, my sister. I really recognize this place that you are, and my one friend kept telling me, you need to get out of there. You need to get out of there. And I did it. It took me 9 years, but I did it. And I had to have the courage to say, yes, I'm doing this now. I'm leaving it all behind. I'm leaving it. I'm going into a completely unknown place. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to be able to do this. I don't know, but I'm going to trust, because I can't continue living like this. I can't continue feeling this anxiety, this fear, this grief, it's unresolving. It never resolves. Yeah, I'd like to have a one-on-one with you at some stage if that resonates with you. Then we can go deeper. And I love to be there to support you through this. to be there as a supporting pillar for you. You can anytime, I'm here. Let me know. And now I understand also better. And yeah, I also understand that place of contentment, because you're content with yourself. From within, you're content with who you are, but it's your environment that's making it very difficult, because it's not in resonance anymore. So then it's like how I began the school. The outer landscape needs to meet the inner landscape. They need to be able to mirror each other. And if this inner landscape is not feeling safe with our outer landscape, it's turmoil. It's turmoil, I know. I think all of us can relate with it at some level. And yeah, I'm definitely here for you. And I look forward to a one-on-one soon, like very soon, like even tomorrow, if possible, or maybe later today, if possible. We can chat. Yeah. And I'm sending you just so much love for who you are. And yeah, you're a wild woman. And I love you very, very much. Thank you for sharing, for being vulnerable, for coming to this space authentic to where you are at, and for bringing this very real aspect of life here, because we're all the parts, all of it exists, and we're here for each other. We're here, we are walking each other home, and we inspire each other, because each of us have been a certain place where another hasn't been. And I find that inspiring. I find our sisterhood inspiring, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, River. I'm going to, thank you. Deep, deep love. So for me, this is my second bleed in George. So two months, and it's interesting to reflect on my first bleed. The day that I started bleeding last moon, I got sick. I got the flu, but like a superbug flu. Because in Hogsback, you get minor bugs. Like it's like still like out of the system. Nobody really got COVID there. It was like a pristine, safe like environment, And so to come from 9 years really of living rural, and now coming into the city, I picked up a superbug, and it was intense. I guess also as you become more conscious of how your body works, like it's really interesting to see how these viruses infiltrate and what they do. And I'm actually really grateful for them, even though it's shitty and it sucks. They are really revealing as to our mindsets and what it is that we want and what it is that we need to let go of, and they help us to let go of those things. So before I got sick, I was like super happy and like really inspired and like on my track and doing things and very, like full of like all this new opportunity. And then I got sick for a week and I was down and I was feeling the worst part for it was, and it all happened also as the beginning of Weaves the Web. And it bummed me out. Like I went like in, there's a thing called post-viral depression. Like I went into post-viral depression. Luckily I got to recognize it and I'm also soft and gentle with myself as I go through these things. I recognize that they are temporary, and so I allow it to be, but at the same time saying, I recognize that you are temporary and I'm not going to let you be here for that long. So do your thing and get out, you know? So anyway, I was sitting with it, and the thing that bummed me out the most is that this creative fire in me was dimmed down to like almost just this flicker. And where I just had this amazing inspiration and well of creativity, in one moment it was gone. And it was like, and I was at the beginning of Weaves the Web, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like the opposite of how I know my Weaves the Web, you know, like I don't recognize her, and this is not a good place for me to be. I don't like it. And yeah, there was a lot that I reflected on as well. Yeah, just a lot. It was very, very heavy. But anyway, like I said, I recognized it as a temporary state, and I allowed all the feelings to be felt and all the things to be seen and recognize it, and then say, okay. Then a series of things helped me out of it, which was the ocean. I spent a full day just lounging by the beach, and I had a terrible stomach cramp for that whole day, and I was just, it was terrible. But anyway, I was just lying like on the beach and just enjoying the sun and the ocean, and eventually it settled. But that day by the ocean where I allowed myself to soften, which is why I got the stomach cramp, because I was holding on to so much, and all of a sudden I was like allowing myself to soften. I needed to work through the stomach cramp to soften completely, let go of that piece of anxiety that I was holding on to. Another part was the sisters gathering at Liz's house. That was also really good, just coming out and being with family, being with our sisters. And yeah, just a series of things, but a lot of it included sunshine. And yesterday is when I truly felt like me again. Like I felt like my fire is back, like the way that it's supposed to be, the way that I know my fire to burn. And yesterday I went to the market with Satnam. I bought some plants, like my first plants for my new home, because I don't have a garden. There's not even a piece of grass or anything. So I bought some tree ferns, and then we went to an antique store in George, just outside of George. And when you go in, when you get there, you you think, okay, it's an antique store, but when I went inside this antique store, I was in awe. No wonder I have wrinkles like that, because it was like I couldn't believe what I found. Like there was rooms upon rooms of the best antiques I've ever seen. And it was just such a beautiful place for me to be, because currently at the moment I'm really into antiques. And then we went to Victoria Bay, and then we went to the George Dam, and it was just a slow flow between these gentle, quiet like spaces and the sun, and this concept of the simply being. And yes, there's chaos, but actually I do want more simplicity around my chaos, so that my chaos is not so chaotic. Really simplifying. I'm finding myself at a stage of really simplifying. It's been also a 15-year process of discovering, coming out of, going into all the nooks and crannies, discovering everything, going into the plant ceremonies, going into all of those aspects, stories upon stories, reclaiming more. And now I'm at the space where I'm like, I now recognize that I now recognize myself and the aspects who I am and the cornerstones of who I am. And now it's like this a deep simplifying process. Like I don't feel like I need to discover more nooks and crannies of myself at this stage in any way. Like I feel I have a lot and enough to work with, and I want to find myself deeper into these very simple aspects of me and being human. That's why I've been enjoying living in the city. It's been really nice, like getting to know different kinds of people. I've started to gym, like it's so nice, and it's been the most magical journey, this gym thing, because I reconnected with an old school friend. We've been friends for 25 years. We've known each other since primary school, and we've after school we kind of like went separate ways, but we still checked in maybe once a year. But anyway, now we've reconnected, and I found this lost treasure of she makes me laugh like nothing else. I'm like, no wonder she was my friend at school, because gee, this laughter is just like the greatest thing. And Dr. Gori. So both of these women live like in my neighborhood, like literally, like the one is in this corner and the one is in this corner. So I've got this very old school friend, my roots, where I come from, and then Gori, and the three of us are gymming together. And it's like, we go into this mundane place, and we enjoy it, we enjoy this place together. And it's just been such a great thing. And this is where the Walks Tall comes in, as to my lymph nodes, just making my body work, making my body sweat, swimming, steam rooming, aerobics, treadmill, whatever it is, it's a structured space where I have discipline in order to take care of my body. And I've not been doing it for that long, but the Walks Tall woman in me is so happy for me and my body that I'm getting to make it stronger again, because I haven't had the discipline to utilize nature at this stage to make me stronger. Yes, I've been hiking and I've been walking and doing those things, but a deeper level has been calling me. So I'm really, really grateful for that aspect. And this has also helped me reclaim back my fire of creativity, because it's such a simple somatic thing. When we're active like that, automatically our chemistry changes. Like I walk out of the gym, come to home, and I'm like, I'm feeling really happy. I'm feeling really positive about life, like this is such a good thing. Especially when I do the steam room, and it's such a simple thing. It's such a simple thing that can alter the chemistry of how we feel or think about the world. So I highly recommend exercise, and it's so amazing that we're stepping now into Walks Tall woman. And she has such an interesting story. It's also as the Clown Mothers are, multi-layered. But I've been saying this, I've been weaving, this is the part that I'm weaving into this circle, is to simply be. The personal myth is something that I'm still unraveling the concept of, which is what becomes a vision is that keeper of the personal myth. And what is the stories that we are telling ourselves? Are we overcomplicating it? Are we actually overcomplicating our stories instead of just bringing it back to simplicity? And I'm really grateful I'm Afrikaans. It's a culture and a place where there's a culture and a place where it comes from that has so many good values and guidance that I am returning to the way of that living and being, and not being like being accountable, showing up, but also being softer on myself and what it is that I like and want to do and pleasure. Like it's a very Afrikaans is like a very pleasurable culture. Like we like certain foods. We will eat our milk tart. There's like it's like the simply beingness of human. And I'll bring it back to my mother's mother. She ate whole foods, not processed foods, but she ate everything, like all kinds of foods in the whole food kind of system. And to be honest, she was very healthy until the end of her life. She was active, she did her thing, she was happy. So that was very, very interesting. That's a very interesting concept because I find yet again we're going into from vegetarianism into carnivorism, and then it's just like again like this place where you refining and restricting yourself to this tiny little diet that is, I feel for me intrinsically, my gut is saying, if I restrict myself so deeply to just that, then I don't know how. I feel like I'm putting my gut at risk, of being too sensitive and then not being able to digest all that is life, because life is so much. So I don't want to restrict my digestion process of life. I want to be able to digest all of it. And so I'm finding happiness in that, and also finally listening, deeply, deeply listening, to what it is that I want and need now. And it's been working for me. Yeah, I feel like there was something else that I needed to share as a whole in the concept of the Clown Mothers becomes a vision. So I think I've mentioned this before, but it's so interesting to me. Like I have this quiz online. I haven't been able to check the stats because recently they've changed the fees. It's like a ridiculous amount of money that you need to, like dollars that you need to spend in order to get the information. But the quiz is still available and anybody can do it, and you can find the information of which clown mother represents you best. But back in the day when I was able to access the information, there was about over 800 people who did the quiz around the world. And the most popular clown mother by far is Talks of Relations. The only clown mother that's never, nobody has ever gotten her as the clown mother becomes her vision. She's the only clown mother with 0. But all the other clown mothers have representations. But Talks of Relations is number 1. And Becomes a Vision is the 13th clown mother. She is the one who holds all 12 aspects. So we need to really understand all 12 aspects before we become our vision. And we probably I don't know how it works. I've not been in this long enough to know that, when do you become your vision? I don't know. But it's a process and it's the journey, it's the journey that takes you there and the reclamation of all of these aspects. So to be gentle with ourselves, knowing that it's a process to become our vision. It's really, really deep. I've been beading the clown mothers. I must bead these little dollies for the clown mothers. And it's interesting. So every time I start with Talks of Relations and then I go, And then how many times have I come to talks of relations? How many times have I come to her feet? Every time, over and over again, she is the clown mother that keeps that I keep finding myself in front of, beginning over and over and over again. I'm still figuring it out after all of these years, but there is a dedication process, and um, yeah, it's just interesting like that. So to have patience and gentleness and understand that all of these things that we're going through is temporary, um, and to be grateful and enjoy the little things and everyday. Let me read all these messages. Okay. Goes back to what I was saying, that the web we weave depends on the place where we are weaving from, our literal body. I find exercising simplifies my psyche. It does. I suppose exercise can also help us process stuff to simplify our lives. On the other end of the spectrum, it can be an escape or desire to feel good and avoiding the difficult feelings. It's true. I think it's safe to say you've said a lot of all your feelings, so the above wouldn't apply to you. No, it's time to exercise. Totally agree with you, Shanti, on gut and sensitivity. When I had eczema on my hands, I was very delicate and iffy about what I touch. Eventually, I decided to desanitize my hands and put it, and yes, and I find it the same with food. Maybe we transition from this body, we become our vision. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of what came up to me, but I didn't want to be so morbid. But I think it takes a lifetime. I think it takes a lifetime to become our vision. That's what I'm feeling, because we're constantly going through like these learning curves. And I think about death a lot, I think about my death a lot. I want to be prepared as best as I can, and be at peace when my time comes. And I hope that it will be beautiful. I trust that it will be. I think it can be. Of course, we know this. Anyway, that's me. I'm opening up the space for sharing and reflecting and relating. If there's anything that wants to be shared, please do. I know we all want to go enjoy the sun now.
I will share that there is absolutely no sun here. It is raining for 2 days solid. It's bleak, it's dark, and I'm trying to not hear you all saying about the sun. It's this winter in Cape Town has really been harsh. Really, we've had very little reprieve.
Spring is coming, I promise.
It has to, right?
And once it comes, you're gonna be like, it's like that thing about seasonal depression is over. All I needed was some sunshine. It's so true. How great the sun.
Yeah, I haven't been able to wake up with the sun, which is what I usually. I keep running off to go and get more hot water bottles and bean bags. I'm freezing.
Yeah. No, it just takes one good day of sunshine, and you're going to meet that aspect of yourself again. It's like, oh, I'm actually good, and I'm actually happy, and life is brilliant. Okay. But our rain is also coming, apparently, so temporary. Anything else wants to be shared? I think Odette wrote something. Let me just see. It's changing, though. Our vision isn't consistent or constant. It evolves as we do. Yes. Like River said, all the things in her vision board became, because we all are manifesting that which is in our vision. Yes. Shoo. No, it's beautiful. Okay. If anything else wants to be shared, we have our sharing circle. Thank you all for showing up as you are and loving each of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, whether it's cozying up or enjoying the sunshine. Loving each of you. Thank you for who you are. And see you next time. Mwah.
Good to see everybody.